Hello, welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are going to be focusing on how franchises can win locally on search, primarily on Google, but we're going to be touching on Apple and Microsoft and all of that good stuff. My name is Kelly Henson. I am the marketing director here at dbaPlatform, and our mission is to get your business found on search across Google, Apple, Microsoft, and anywhere that consumers are searching for local businesses. Just to quickly go over a few things that you're going to see today, we're going to focus primarily on franchise SEO, listings, management, and optimization, so that Google Business Profile, and then also go over a few solution models for franchises. I'm actually going to put a poll up on the screen right now. I know we have a handful of people joining, and we're just kind of curious who's joining us today. If you're a franchisee, if you're a franchisor, or maybe if you're an agency or just a single location business, no matter where you fall within this range, I think that you're going to get a lot out of today's call. We're going to be going over quite a bit of information. So wherever you fall on this spectrum, I think that you'll have some good information, and Jan is an expert on a lot of this stuff. So we're just curious. So fill that out when you get a chance, and we can kind of move on. I'll leave that up for a minute. And then we will conclude today's webinar with a live local SEO Q&A. So answer or ask questions along the way. We may ask them if it's relevant to what we're talking about, but if you have questions at the end, we definitely want to know what they are and try to get to them, get to as many as possible. And then before we do introductions, I just quickly want to go over the controls in the webinar. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A, you'll see a chat. Make sure to use the Q&A. So you can chat us, but you'll just be chatting with the three of us, the three speakers. So try to use the Q&A. That allows all of the attendees to upvote. So if they have the same question, they can upvote that, and that will help us prioritize the questions along the way. But if you're having another issue and you need to chat us privately, use the chat feature. And we are recording this, so everyone attending, or if you signed up and weren't able to make it, we'll send out that recording so that you can watch it back or send it to any of your colleagues as well. And our first presenter is Jan. I will let him introduce himself, and then we'll introduce River, and then we'll get started.
Hey everyone, my name is Jan Gilbert. If you've been to our other webinars before, you've seen me. I am the original creator of Local Falcon, and I am here going to help you try to figure out some franchise questions with you and go over lots of details. I am the product expert here. I'm a Google official Google product expert. I try not to throw all my titles around too much, but in essence, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for many years, and any questions you might have at the end, I'll be happy to help you.
Awesome. He doesn't like to throw the titles around, but he does know what he's talking about. He is our go-to guy for anything Google related. And then our next presenter is River. River, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, River Grace. I've probably talked to 97% of everyone that's on here. So hello. Lots of multiple hats. We all know anything you need, you can reach out to me. I'll make sure to get it done.
Perfect.
Cool. And I'll pass it over to Jan. We're going to start with local SEO for franchise and talking about some key specifics that you guys need to pay attention to.
Right. So it's a big topic to cover. So we're obviously not going to be able to get into everything. A lot of local SEO for an individual business is going to be the same for whether you're franchises, and then we add extra levels to that because of the complications of running a larger organization, right? So just want to start off to get everyone kind of in the same page and maybe help people get some questions to start us off maybe a little bit. So here are some of the marketing obligations that we have for the franchisor and the franchisee. So the franchisor is, they have to do the brand development, the market research, the website maintenance most of the time if everyone's funneled to the same website. They have, in controlling the website, they have to do the SEO and the content updates. Maybe they're in charge of the overall social media and email marketing for the whole brand. And of course, they have the reporting that they have to do, that they have to give to the franchisee, as well as their own internal reporting, but then the franchisee wants to see the reporting. So there's, these are some of the marketing obligations that the franchisor has to do. And the franchisee, well, they have to do the brand compliance. If they are able to do any special local marketing, they'll do that, promotional activities at their locations. They are basically in charge of getting the reviews because they're the ones who are interacting with the clients directly. And one of the most important things that sometimes they don't always do well is provide feedback to the franchisor of who's coming in, are the leads the right leads, what kind of phone calls they're getting, or traffic, things like that. So there's a lot of communication breakdown that can happen even just in the marketing aspect, let alone the legal aspects, but just the marketing aspect, there's issues, right? So there's challenges of the franchisees. Are they in compliance with our branding? Are we helping them enough? And then part of it is we need to get actionable feedback to be able to help them, to make changes. And then does it apply to one listing, to one location? Does it apply to lots of locations? Because maybe there's different rural or urban. There's lots of different considerations that make it difficult for the ZOR to really help and be proactive, really. And on the other side, for the Z, the challenges are they have limited authority. Sometimes they have great ideas, but they're not allowed to do something. They have a limited budget because they're paying into a fund, and so now they don't have their own budget to want to try to do things on their own. And the local competition could be a lot different in one area than the other area. So what the Zora is doing is working great for a handful of locations, but then in other locations, it's not enough because the competition is stronger and they're not getting enough leads comparatively, right? So there's lots of challenges to
Yeah.
deal with. And now we have to insert all this into the marketing and it makes it difficult. Go ahead, Kelly.
You're good. I was just going to say, so River just attended IFA in Phoenix, which a lot of people on this call probably did as well, which is the International Franchise Association conference that they host yearly. And I think River, one big takeaway was that a lot of franchises are either managing from the corporate level, the local level, or a hybrid mix. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. It's either the franchisor is taking control of it and pushing out syndicated content to keep the messaging consistent on all relevant products or services across the board, taking that off the franchisee's hands, or even the ZOR can maybe say, hey, it's up to you guys. Like, here's the content. If you guys want to use that, follow our guidelines, but you guys can post as you will, or whatever you feel is most relevant. Or it's a hybrid where maybe it'll be claimed by, or the ownership will be 50-50, and the ZOR will push out branded content, and then the Z will push out localized relevant content. So that's the thing, is everyone's different. Everyone's different. So
I think even though everyone's different, one thing I just want to quickly point out on some of the content that Jan's about to go through is this is a good opportunity for the ZOR or the Z to kind of follow along and look at their local listing and say, is our franchisee doing this? Is our franchisor helping us with this? And that's where some of that collaboration and feedback can really come into play. If you're the franchisee, but you don't really have power over these things, this is a great exercise to see where your corporate franchisor office may be able to help, and vice versa. So kind of pay attention to a few of those things, and definitely feel free to pull up some of your listings along the way and see if things match up or if there's areas where you guys could improve.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do all the pieces, right? So we're going to look at ideal, we're going to look at questions, and maybe the Z says, oh, you know what? I don't think I'm getting that kind of stuff out of my ZOR. Maybe if the ZOR gets enough feedback, and maybe they have a marketing agency, maybe they need to go to the marketing agency and say, hey, we're getting complaints that you're not doing this well enough. So this is where the communication is super important between the two of you. So let's just start off at the beginning. Now that we've on a really high level, let's get at the beginning. Keywords. We have to know what our keywords are so that you can know what to optimize for. If you're running ads, or if you're optimizing your website, or you're optimizing your Google profile. you need to know which keywords. And a lot of times these are, simple. We know what they are, but I just wanted to call attention to the fact that there's multiple places where we can check what keywords people are using, and they don't always line up, right? So we have Google Search Console, which is going to get your keywords from your website. You have the ads data if you're running that, like how many clicks on which keyword and what people are using. And then we have the Google Profile Insights. So that's specifically from your local profile, right? So there's a Search Console and there's your Google profile. And sometimes they don't always line up. So the important thing here is, again, even though you might be a larger organization, we always want to get the local information because that's what local SEO. We have to go drill down into the location. And if we're looking at the Google profile, we want to look at the keywords that are populating in this area in the performance section of your Google profile, because that might be a little bit different than what the website is getting. And so your marketing agency or whoever's running the optimizing the website might be saying, oh yeah, we're optimizing for all the greatest keywords, but then a specific local uh, franchisee might be getting a little bit different, right? Maybe you have franchisees across the country, and then one part of the country uses a different term than the other one, or one is more common than the other one. So we want to always look at the local information to make decisions and then hopefully get that into your marketing efforts the right way. Location pages, let's just talk about this really quickly. A lot of times the website has this like multiple location pages and they're pretty much duplicates of each other. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So we want to try to differentiate all these location pages, right? So, and I'm going to give you an example, a good example right after this. So here are the main parts. On each location page, we need to have the contact information, and that has to match your Google profile. So a lot of times there's phone numbers different. Sometimes the hours are different. Sometimes that even there's a move and then an update doesn't happen on the website. So you want to make sure that your location pages match your Google profile, because then it gives more trust signals and links together between the website, the organic, and the Google profile to help your rankings grow, right? And I think that we do have, River, if you want to speak to that, we will be having some kind of system in place that matches things. Because a lot of times I do audits for franchises and they're not matching anymore. It's like, why are the hours different on here? Oh yeah, well, last year we stopped opening on Saturday or something. Well, you forgot to update the website, or you forgot to update the Google profile, and then maybe that creates a bad review because someone shows up and the hours are wrong. So your processes have to be good, and if you don't have those processes, then automate it so you don't have to look at it.
Yeah, one thing I found interesting coming out of IFA, talking to a lot of franchisees and ZORs, was that a franchisee typically, I'm not going to say everyone, but they want to run their business and they want to do what they're good at, and they want to do whatever service and product or focus on whatever service and product that they're doing. So they might not be, super keen on updating their location page or their Google business profile to the best of their ability. And even with the franchisors, as they start getting a plethora of locations and franchisees, if they're managing it across the board, it can be overwhelming. So, and I was going to save this kind of a little bit till later, and we'll kind of touch on it a little bit more. But one of the next things that we are getting ready to launch are location pages for franchisors. So we will actually be able to update every single individual location page and connect it to the Google business profile. So when we update the description, the hours, categories, attributes, anything on the profile, it will automatically update the website location page for that individual franchisee. So that's a very exciting new update that we have coming up.
Yeah, it's super important, not just for the rankings, but for the users, the visitors that are coming to make sure that the information is correct. Second point here is your content should be different than other location pages, and we'll talk about the duplicate content as well in a little bit more detail. A lot of times, we don't want to have doorway pages, which is basically location one, and then you have a text, and the text is exactly the same as location 2, except you switched the location in your text, right? We want to avoid that. There's still lots of companies that have that kind of setup. Now with ChatGPT, it's a lot easier to rewrite things and have lots of differentiation. But that's something that you want to make sure that your pages are different than the rest of the pages on the website. I dealt with a practice, a franchise that had 300 listings, and they had many websites with the same content, and they got hit with a penalty, and all their websites were delisted from Google. And it took like a month before we were able to find the right person at Google to turn that switch back on, basically. So it doesn't happen often in that capacity with that level of harshness, if you want to say, but it can hurt you. You could go years without it realizing that it's hurting you, if you're just not ranking as well as you should be because you have too much duplication on each page. And then the last thing here is good internal linking, and I'm going to show you an example of how we want to have good internal linking on the pages. So let's just go through some of these examples. Here's an example of a good landing page, a good local landing page here, and there's lots of pieces, right, to make this done right. So we have our contact information right at the top of the page. So that matches your Google profile and your Bing profile and your Apple Connect profile. Everything matches together. It makes it easy to know where a user is. If when they're coming into your website, it gives them the hours. It gives them maybe some driving directions in that little map area. We also have the keywords right at the top, and we have the sub locations. If you're in a larger area, we have, like in this Philadelphia example, we have lots of sub locations or towns or neighborhoods that you want to add in. So this helps differentiate the pages from each other, right? So this section might be similar with all the keywords, but now we're putting very unique parts on each page so that when Google comes and the crawler comes and starts reading a page, it's not hitting the content right away and saying, oh, this looks very much the same as another page. Right off the bat, we're different. And then we have a contact form right near the top in this case. And then near the contact form, we have our reviews and trust badges. So because we know that putting these high trust pieces helps the conversion rates near you put that near the contact form, and to help people make decisions with that BBB or the high reviews, things like that. So this would be one example. There's lots of different examples of how you can do it, and depending on what kind of business you are. But we want to have the unique elements near the top. We want to have the conversion elements near the top, and we want to have those trust ratings near the top as well. So and then after this page is much longer, has lots and lots of content, of SEO content, of written content with headings and subheadings and all that kind of stuff. That comes after all this. I'll stop here if there's any questions. I don't know if we want to.
Yeah, we had a quick question in terms of location pages. This actually came in through our chat, so I'm not sure if all the users can see it, but they are asking, as an agency that works with a lot of car dealers, how would you recommend pages like this since most are looking for inventory?
Right. So at that point, if you have the inventory feed, like we have, through dbaPlatform, you can feed your content through different parts. And if you have your feed coming into your website, you'll want to probably, in your case, have that inventory feed near the top. It really depends on the intent of the searcher, right? So if you're in an e-commerce or in a shopping type situation, Google prefers to have the inventory and the shopping products at the top of the page. And again, that's why we're pushing that content element lower down. In this case, for example, the reason why I put the contact information at the top is because we know Google says, oh, you're looking for a local place. Here's the local information. With cars or any other shopping thing, Google, understands the intent of a searcher and says they're looking to buy something. Put that up higher up on the page. You're going to get higher rankings when you do that kind of thing. So yeah, it takes a little bit of checking. You have to actually go to Google, you go to Bing, and you do a search and say which pages out of all these pages, in organic are ranking the best. And then you look for patterns. You say, is this an intent of a buyer, or is this informational intent? And then you adjust your page depending on what Google is preferring to give those searchers.
Right, because essentially, like this example is showing that corporate office and then routing people to the local locations versus an auto dealer. They may still have a similar setup where they're wanting to route people to their local dealers, which then once they're routed to that local dealer is where the inventory would probably become more prominent, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
and
you,
then really quick, shout out Marty Nemec from Flying Locksmiths. If we're using you guys as an example, there's obviously something you guys are doing right. So, shout out him from Flying Locksmiths. Brandon's question from about the car dealerships. Car dealerships are technically franchises, but you guys are in a totally different ballpark than a lot of the other types of franchises, right? Because one franchise, one brand that has franchisees, like you can syndicate content. Like a lot of the stuff is going to be the exact same. Car dealerships, like it is very, very unique to that individual dealership for the most part, because it's all going to be, you're right, based on inventory, but to that specific location. So they might carry a lot of the same models, but it's going to be based on what they have in stock. So a lot of the things are changing, but I think what Jan is kind of leaning towards is the content. So the for the SEO, yes, exactly. Because I mean, when you're looking at, to your point, Brandon, he just asked, how to rank outside of your current city. And when you look at your Google Business Profile, unfortunately, um, you're only going to get so much radius. Like a consumer is only going to see you for so far around your business before they start recommending other businesses or other dealerships in your case that are closer. So, usually you get that 3 to 5 mile radius pretty locked in. If there's a lack of competition, that is where Google's naturally going to expand that radius. But when there are other dealerships, outside of that 5 mile range that you do want to hit, that's typically where Google's strategically making it where you're going to want to probably boost some ads, to get in front of them. So that's where it kind of becomes pay to play. And then Kelly, there were some Q&As too. So someone asked, and Jan, I'll let you answer this, but they asked, should I use third-party sites like SEMrush to source keywords?
Sure.
Because you were
So
talking specifically about getting the keywords.
yeah. So if we go back to the keywords, I'm going to scroll the deck back up, but if we go back to the keyword, is use the data that you have, right? So you're going to get much more accurate data from your Search Console or your ads data or your Google Insights data than you would a SEMrush, because those are estimates and they're not always correct. The volumes are definitely not correct. And so what you want to do, and I didn't go into super detail, but what you want to make sure that's done on your listing is to put some special tracking like a UTM parameter on your Google profile and your Bing profile. You want to put UTM parameters on those so that helps you differentiate in Search Console what keywords were where my organic was ranking or impressions, and then which keywords is triggering my maps results, right? And it's not 100%, but you can help that differentiation and get more details of that. SEMrush is good for keyword research. If you are trying to do something new or write a new blog post or come up with a new topic, then that's good for keyword discovery. But you always want to use your own data because that's going to be a lot more, a better source of data.
Yes, and use your own data, and do not assume what the keywords are, because the amount of businesses that I've talked to, like, what keywords do you want to focus on, and they tell me, and a lot of businesses, they're so close to their business, and they feel like they may know every keyword. That's not how consumers type all the time. If you own a pizza shop and you're like, oh, they're going to type in, these 5 keywords, and then you look at what people are actually typing in, everyone searches differently. I might type in pizza near me. Jan might type in best pizza insert, the city that he's in.
Um,
So
yeah.
there's definitely different ways to go about it, because every individual keyword is going to pull up a different ranking results. So
And that
you do have
changes depending. Like I was just looking at someone yesterday. I was doing an audit yesterday, and on the West Coast, or it was a larger city in San Diego, it was florist near me. There was tons and tons of stuff near me and near me, flower delivery near me. It was everything near me. And then I looked in New Jersey, same franchise, there was no near me's. Near me was like the 15th down on the list. It was completely different searches. So whether it was a bigger city, maybe it was East Coast to West Coast, people search differently in different areas, and you need to figure that out and adjust if you can, if the ZOR can adjust their marketing efforts to differentiate some of those buckets, right? So just if you can. So it makes it difficult, but you have to have the data in the first place to be able to make those decisions.
Hey, and then Jan, one other question that's relevant to the page that's on right here. Someone asked, for a service location page like this, should you have individual pages for XYZ service location also?
Yeah, so a lot of times I don't have I don't have that breakdown visually here, but yeah, there's a lot of times where you have a slash location A, and then you have the location service A, location service B, and then you have location one, like two service A, right? So you have a lot of services that are the same throughout. You can do that, but you have to differentiate those pages. You have to make sure that they're not the they have unique content in some way, which makes it a lot harder the more you go. Uh, how many times can you write about the same service if you have 20 to 100 locations, and then you have the same service written out each one? It becomes difficult. And this is where the SEO testing really comes into play, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you're wasting effort where Google never ranks those sub-services under those location pages. And sometimes it does. Depends on your category, depends on your region, what's the competition level. And so if the main website, if the Zora website, for example, is not doing that, what I would say to them is do a test. You have to pick a handful of locations, do those sub-service location pages, and see, do they get any traffic or not? And then before you roll out to, if you have 100 of them, before you go and make the effort of making 100 different pages times how many services you have, do some limited testing, because it's going to be different. So there's no one size fits all type of answer and that kind of thing. All right, so let's just keep going because I have some slides. I think we're going ahead a little bit in some of these questions, but that's fine. Here is a location page. So basically, this is Mosquito Shield. Again, I don't have any affiliation with them, just an example, where we land on the home page, and then in the main menu, we have our main menu items, and one of those main menu items is locations. When you click the locations main menu item, you wind up on this page. And I just wanted to call out the pieces that are done well here is that what you want to do is always provide, if we go to the bottom, always provide HTML links to individual location pages. What that helps is more for the crawler than the user sometimes, because now we have two steps, right? So we land on the home page, we go to this location main menu page, and then we can find our individual location pages. So it really took 2 clicks for anyone to go from their home page to your location pages, right? If they want to know the hours, if they want to know the phone number, that's how they get there, 2 clicks. It's also 2 jumps for a crawler. So what happens is the home page is your strongest page on your website, typically, if you have lots of citations and news and whatever, backlinks are coming to your home page, because there's not many that go directly to location pages. So you want to get that strength, that SEO power from your home page distributed to your location pages as quickly as possible, the least amount of clicks as possible, or jumps for the crawler to do. This is the best way to do it. So you have all these HTML links to all your location pages. at the bottom of this. At the same time, we have this map, which helps the user. And we also have a filter or some kind of selection or search where if you want to type in your zip code, that's fine. But we want to make sure that we don't only put this element, because a crawler can't do a search. It can't put in a zip code to find a location pages. Many times we don't have any direct pathway to the location pages. So the crawler knows about the location pages because it might be in your sitemap, but then there's no good backlinks uh, pointing to those location pages at all. And so those location pages don't have any SEO strength. And the reason why that's super important, because if you have your Google profile and then the Google profile points to that location page, there's feedback. So if that location page has SEO power, that power flows back into your Google profile. But if that location page has hardly any power because there's no backlinks coming to it, you're not boosting your profile, right? You're losing a lot of potential gain of rankings for your maps listing. So that's why we want to create a nice pathway for the crawlers. But this is also very good for the user, right? It hits all the elements. There's something searchable. It makes them quick. If they don't want to scroll down through every state because you have a lot of listings, this would be a good example to follow.
Yeah. And just to chime in, I think you already mentioned it, Jan, but just in case anyone on the call isn't aware, the crawler is how Google is reading your site, which then affects how you rank on Google search results. So we want to make it easy for the user, but we also want to make it easy for the Google crawler so that the sites rank and your locations are seen.
Right. Yeah, sorry. I use some technical terms that not everyone may be aware of. So we talked about the duplicate content a little bit before with that question. So where do we find most often are on the location pages themselves. And then what I mentioned before is those sub-service pages. And so, yeah, we want to, and I don't want to sit here too long, avoid duplicate content whenever possible. Switch it up, use ChatGPT, whatever AI system you want to use at this point, and change it, right? You want to change the location pages. Again, always have those unique elements near the top of the page that's helpful for the user, it's helpful for Google. And then if you want to have all the content later down, do that, but it's not as prominent on the page because there will be issues of eventually it's going to be repetitive, but it's not exactly the same. So we want to avoid that. And then I want to differentiate that between duplicate content on your social content. And so here's a listing. They have hundreds of locations, and they will post the same images on their Google profile and the same text. It just changes their location name, for example, across all their Google profiles. This is fine. Absolutely no problem. This is not duplicate content. Duplicate content issues only happen with organic website pages. It has absolutely no bearing on if you use the same post across many Google profiles, or if you use the post on a Google profile and then your Facebook and then your Twitter and then whatever it is. I know you have to change up sometimes the formatting, but there's no issues at all on social media. You can use a system like dbaPlatform to say, hey, okay, we're going to post every week. We're going to post the same content, push it out. It's just efficiency. It saves time. Google knows that, and it's not going to penalize you for using the same content across different profiles.
Which I think is important, especially for franchises, because a lot of times, or at least some of the franchises that I frequent, they have annual sales or promotions that are similar across all their locations. And so there may be minor details that they want to change out on the post or customizations to the post, but you don't have to go and create an entire new image or caption for those type of larger initiatives, especially from the corporate down to the local franchisees. So.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a question to confirm. Can we post the same offer post, deal post? Yes, you can. There's no issues. Think about it logically. Why would Google hurt all these huge, gigantic businesses that need to do it this way, right? Once you get over 5 locations, it's much more efficient. Instead of going in each one and copy paste, do it through a system like ours and push it across to all your listings. And it's much more efficient because then you can schedule it and you can think ahead of time. You just someone sits there for an hour and a half, and you have and then you just schedule everything out. Much, much more efficient for you guys.
And do not forget, there is a variable insertion text that you can add.
Yes.
We call it a placeholder. So you can add, if you have 100 locations that you're pushing out the same post to, you can add a placeholder through our system where it can do a dynamic insertion for a unique piece of information from every individual location. So visit us at insert local, insert local address, insert profile name. So if the profile names are the same dash the city, for example, you can insert these pieces of information, making it unique to every individual post at the click of a button. So
I have
don't
that
forget
here.
to.
If you see on the examples, one says Hinsdale Flower Shop, and the other one says Tony's Flowers. But it's the same post, it's the same image, it's the same text. You're just swapping it out, and it's done automatically. Saves many, many hours of work.
Right. And real quick, just so we don't skip this one, someone asked, Jan, how should you go about populating phone numbers on your business profile if you're using call tracking numbers on your website?
So so the typical way I do it, just to keep it safe, is no problem. Google understands that lots of businesses use tracking numbers. What you always want to do is the main number, whether it's on your like the main head office number, or sometimes there's a main local number, and then you want to add those numbers as secondary numbers on your Google profile. So you'll have a primary number, and then have this, you can add number, add number, add number. Put your tracking number on your profile if you want, but then make sure you add in your secondary numbers or your main numbers. People won't see that on on the profile, but Google will say, okay, yeah, we understand that this is a different number than what I'm seeing on the website. That matches the secondary number that you added. So you're avoiding that kind of it's not really a ranking issue anymore, but it used to be an issue where Google would automatically change numbers on you because, oh, your website says this and your Google profile says this. We're going to change the profile automatically and not even tell you. That avoids that issue of that automatic checking. All right. Keep going. Any more questions?
I think we have one more question relating to images, so we can go ahead and answer that really quick. Yana was asking, would you recommend remaining the images with SEO names for that location, or renaming maybe for that location? Would that not help or hurt the rankings?
No, Google won't care about I mean, at that point, let's say even if it did care, it would be super tiny ranking factor. Like if you named, if you put image one dash location A and then image one location B, like what kind of ranking power would that have? It's probably zero. I've never tested it, but even if it had a minuscule amount of power, it wouldn't be worth the effort to do, right? So you have to make a judgment.
Really quick though, Jan, let's rewind a second. Unless she's talking about geotagging the images, I mean, I can tell you from back in the day when it was still Google My Business, right when the map pack came out, one of the first tools that we built into the photo system was geotagging the images, where you yes, so back in the day, I can personally say, and I will go head to head with Jan on this, and he can tell me I'm wrong, but I manually renamed and geotagged images, and I saw a significant increase. But the caveat, over time, that was right when the map pack came out. Over time, the algorithm has probably changed 1,000 times. So we do have the software to automate that if you are using our photo tool. So we just use it kind of more now as a checklist. I can't guarantee that it actually does help or hurt, but I definitely have never seen it hurt. It's more of just, to Jan's point, is it a minuscule amount nowadays? Maybe, but it is a super easy thing that automatically will pull in the location EXIF data. So it'll pull in the geo coordinates from each individual location. And then you have the option to add some additional meta fields with, renaming and everything like that. So I would just say use it as a checklist if you have some extra time, but totally up to you.
So the question was unclear. It was just more specific to the renaming. As far as the geotagging, I mean, most SEOs say If it does work, it's hard to measure because there's so many variabilities now that you can't really measure it on its own. But to your point, if it's being done automatically, then awesome, right? We do that. It's awesome. Will it hurt you? Never. Can it help? Possibly. But if you're sitting there and you're manually renaming images before you upload them, or you're manually adding the geotagging, don't do that. That's not good, right? If it's
Yeah,
automated,
it's not a good use of time.
yeah, exact. That's my that's what I so all right, let's keep going because we're gonna run out of time here. Um, Optimizing your local listing. So again, basic stuff. You have to claim your listing. Everyone knows to claim your Google listing. Sometimes it becomes unverified. You got to do things, but there's Apple Business Connect now. There's also Bing. Make sure that the information there is the same. You know, once you claim it, you got to make sure that it's the same. And one thing that dbaPlatform does is it'll push everything together and be able to help you make your life as a marketing person a lot more efficient, more easier. You're not wasting time manually doing things. But yeah, we talk about Google all the time, but there's other places where people search that have profiles that we have to pay attention to nowadays. So same steps as your Google profile is that you got to claim and verify it, complete all the fields as much as possible, make sure they're the same throughout all your pieces, and reuse the content if possible, right? If you have Q&A, we're going to post the Q&A across your different, whenever those features are available on the other platforms, trying to reuse and automate all that information. Near me searches. So this could have been in the keyword section. And I mentioned where some places have a lot of near me searches and some categories or locations don't have any near me searches. So that's something that you should pay attention to because it's still a big thing. Someone says pizza near me. Near me is a qualifier. Google doesn't automatically show you just because I'm across the street doesn't mean that they're going to be the highest when I do pizza near me because another website, another pizza place might be optimized for near me, close by, close to me, um, terms that are synonyms to near me. And so you have to check your data, check your keywords to see, should we be including this in our landing page? Should we be including this in our posts, in our overall content marketing scheme? We want to add near me, nearby, close to me, that kind of thing, because those are seen as separate searches. And I don't have the scans to show you, but on the slide deck, but through Local Falcon, it's very easy to show you the different visibility for different things like this. The relevance, again, we'll go through this quickly. There's lots of pieces to keep track of. We want to automate as much as we can because manually going in and checking it, even a handful of listings is very tedious. So to pull everything in together, make sure, did Google change? Google changes things automatically, and then you don't know. Sometimes you get the email, but then maybe the franchisee didn't get the email, and the Azor got the email. Now you have extra people looking at things, and it may not flow or get acted upon. Google might change your hours. Well, who's going to change it? How fast are they going to change it? So we want to make sure that that kind of thing gets caught right away. And so, through an automated system, you can catch those kind of things to make sure everything's consistent and all these pieces are correct. The quality here is, so there's not too much besides the consistency and filling out the information on a Google profile. Like, what do you do? Like, well, we can add maybe, try to get reviews. You can add your question and answers, you're posting your images, you're posting Google Posts, for example. So there is a lot of one-time things and then maintenance. And then there's also like weekly tasks that you want to do. Again, we want to try to not have to go in every single week and create a post because we schedule that kind of thing. But there's other pieces that come in. Who's answering the review? Is it the franchisor? Is it the franchisee? Is it a marketing agency? Like we have our program that will answer the 5-star, maybe the 4-star reviews, depending on what you want. And then, but the lower star reviews, maybe that gets kicked off to the franchisee because they're the ones who interacted with the client and know more about the situation. There's a lot of details depending on how your setup is. to work through and understand and be efficient in that process, right? And again, this is similar to before. Managing it through a central dashboard makes it a lot more efficient and easier. But you have to have those questions that, what I just mentioned before is who's doing what, and be clear on who's doing what and what time, what are the expectations. That's one of the big problems that comes with a marketing agency um, is those kind of things. So we want to be clear when you're talking to your franchisee, talks to the ZOR. Okay, these things need to be done. How quickly can I expect that, right? So conversations to make things more efficient and better and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
Um,
kind of talking about the last slide and then this slide, Jan, you can stay here,
yeah.
is that's like a key quick little plug for dbaPlatform. Like whether you're on our done by you or done for you, we make sure that all those things are getting done. So River, I don't know if you want to talk to that. I'm not really the salesperson, but just a quick little plug for dbaPlatform because we really are able to take all your locations and help you manage that, whether you're doing it completely from the franchisor corporate standpoint, or if you have a hybrid model, or if it's being managed locally.
Or even from an agency standpoint. I mean, the whole point is there's very specific things that you need to do. And they're all going to be different. They're all going to be in different buckets. So our goal is to help automate and streamline whatever the KPIs are. I mean, the only plug I would say really right now is going to be, you guys are going to be very excited with a lot of the new features that we are coming out to continuously help. I mean, as I'm going to these trade shows like the IFA, NADA, NRF, we're constantly we're back in the saddle where it's like we're gathering information from our clients and from bigger brands of what can we do to help automate and streamline no matter what bucket that you guys fall in, agency, franchisee, franchisor, direct, business. So as long as we continue to get that feedback, understand the KPIs and deliverables that you guys are looking for, we are back into having fun again and creating the products to automate these things. And we'll touch on that in a couple of the later slides.
And I also just put a poll up for anyone who is listening or wants to chime in. We're just kind of curious about, who's managing this completely on their own versus using a platform. So if you want to participate, go ahead and throw your answer in. And we have a few more slides to go through, and then we'll round out with our Q&A. So if you guys have more questions, start throwing those in there so that we can get to them at the end.
Yeah, so and there's been lots of good questions at this point. So we might have to go a little bit faster than I wanted to through some of these slides just because I stopped early. But so basic optimization of profiles. I mean, I'm going to say everyone knows what to do, but let's go through some of the details because it is, again, a little bit more complicated because we have many layers here. So we're looking at two examples. Who's adding the images? Who's taking the images? What are their quality? How often? Those kind of questions. And if you're the Z or you're the ZOR, whoever's adding the images, take a look at the images. Are they good quality? Are they showing your brand in the way that you want them to be shown? Are they breaking rules? Are they showing customers and you didn't get approval? Like there's lots of questions because there's different people that could be adding images here. And so there's quality, there's consistency, there's a lot legal, there's lots of different considerations on what kind of photos can and videos now that if you want to add videos, you can, which is even more complex because now you have to sit there and watch them. So these are lots of questions that you guys have to figure out and have those discussions and we can help you do that properly, right? Same thing with the Q&A. Make sure you're adding the Q&A, but then again, who's adding the Q&A? Are you pushing out the same Q&A to every single location? Sometimes they won't apply to one and it applies to another. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can use your Q&A section like your own FAQ. You don't have to wait for people to ask questions. You want to fill this out as much as possible and take the top 10 questions that people always, when you pick up the phone, what's the top 10 questions? And then when a client calls or whatever, and pre-populate those in. It may avoid someone visiting the website, but it helps not have as many steps before someone might call you, right? They might call directly from the Google profile and not go to the website first. That's the way Google wants things. So fill out the fields as much as you can. Reviews, same thing. Who's answering the reviews? I spoke about this before, so I won't go into detail here. So there's lots of questions on who's doing what, and what's the time and how fast, and legal matters, and can we mention a name, or how do we get rid of a bad review? Who's going to do that? Lots of minutia of the tasks on the reviews, and overall who's monitoring it. And sometimes the franchisee knows a bad review came in, but the ZOR doesn't answer it, or the marketing agency doesn't deal with it right away, and it sits there for a week before it gets dealt with. No, that's not good. We want to have an efficient process. The menu, if you're a restaurant, you can have menu items. We want to be consistent in there. You could push those menu items across all your listings, but then some listings might have different menu items. So there's lots of issues here that can crop up that need to be dealt with. Deals, so same thing. Do you have deals all across all your locations? Push them through. If they're different in different locations, then you have, maybe you bucket your locations into by state or by region. There's ways to do that. And updates is basically like the Google post, same thing. You can use the same post across all your locations, but maybe the pricing is different per state or per location, city, not city. There's lots of different things where you can bucket your posts into different places. So if maybe you have you have the same post, but there's really 3 variations of it, you could do that in our system and push it a lot more efficiently. We want to just mention Apple Business Connect. I mentioned it before, but they are, coming up. They're going to try to copy Google and have all the same features and fields. And so to be consistent, we want to push everything out. So imagine now you're doubling, and sometimes if you're talking about Bing as well, you're going to triple the amount of profiles that you have to manage. That's going to get really, really difficult to do if you're not automating that.
Yeah. And quick plug for Apple Business Connect. That's kind of the default, like Apple Maps is the default for CarPlay. So even though sometimes I think a lot of people feel like it's not being used, I'm a go-to Apple Maps person. And one of my favorite, I go to a like workout chain. They're all across the US. And I actually had to message them on Instagram because their hours were wrong on Apple Maps, but correct on Google. So people are looking in these places, and even though majority is on Google, we don't want to ignore the other places where people may end up, especially if something's default on their computer or phone.
As a marketer, there's good and bad, right? There's pros and cons to this, where Google was the only thing, so that's all you have to pay attention to. But then it could be fickle, right? Either Google's ranking you well or not ranking you well, right? Or there's an algorithm update which shifts things a lot, and you could be nervous every day. Am I going to get hit by an algorithm, right? Now there's other places which lets you get leads from different sources, but now it creates a much more of a headache to be able to manage all those things together. So from a marketing perspective, it becomes more complex. And as the internet, grows in different areas and more competitors come into the space to take Google's chunk of the share there, it's harder and harder. So you want to automate as much as you can, because just starting to manually check all these places, it's going to be, it's impossible now. If you have more than 5 locations or 10 locations, it's impossible to do it manually. You're going to be wasting your time, spending so much time just doing Google searches and logging in, logging out. Like, it's just crazy. All right, solutions here. Well, there we go. I'll let River go on this one.
Solutions. Yeah. So, I mean, dbaPlatform, for the longest times, we were very a la carte, kind of a la carte driven company, but there's a lot of SKUs internally on the back end. So what we did to make things easier across the board, I know some of the people on here, we've already either transferred over or walked them through, but we just made it super easy. We have essentially 4 packages. It's 2 for done by you, so ads and listings, and then 2 done by you for listings, which would be ads and listings, and then 2 done for you. So if you wanted a white glove done for you, we're just a back end extension of your team. We do managed ads and managed listings in the back end. We pull the levers, give it to you guys, make you guys look good. So whether you're an agency, franchisee, franchisor, doesn't matter. We're here to help in whatever capacity that you guys are looking for. So,
And River, just to clarify, because I know that I know a lot of people, well, I don't know if they're asking this, but this would be my question is if from a corporate standpoint, sometimes they need certain controls and the local offices need different controls, all of that is customizable or like we can program that into their plan, correct? So that the right people have the right controls.
every single toggle, every single button has a toggle for customization. So if you want special user permission roles, special client permission roles, if you have sub agencies, yeah, every single piece is customizable.
Which is great because even if you're on our done for you listings, we may do everything, but you may want control over negative reviews or whatever it may be, and we can still make that happen. So I just want to clarify that it's not a black and white. We can definitely get you what you need, where you need it, for who you need it for.
Yeah, it's super. It's
Absolutely.
super because all that granularity, it really helps on, if you have new employees at a different location, can they do, what can they not do? And so we want to put everything in one simple dashboard and control everything from there the proper way.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So product inventory, go ahead, River.
Yeah.
Product inventory on Google. I mean, this is going to be a very niche kind of piece. So for anyone that has either clients or locations that have physical products in a brick and mortar retail location, this was one of the first programs that we launched with Google directly. So this is kind of how we got on the map with Google and started getting first access to a lot of their new programs. So we can take an actual inventory feed from a POS system and unlock a widget. I don't know, a lot of people I show to, they still don't even know it's there. It's called See What's in Store. And that will literally be one of the biggest local SEO enhancements that I've ever seen, since the map pack came out in 2016. So we can take, and it literally creates an individual product page for every single SKU that a location has in store. You can also customize on the products that you want to show there, but every price, description, SKU, and attribute about the product will then be indexable, connected to your Google profile. And also unlocking that unlocks a new ad type called local inventory ads. So you cannot do that unless you have the See What's in Store.
The Merchant Center is getting integrated into much more. It used to be just little pieces, but now it's really getting integrated into your Google profile. So if you do have some kind of inventory, you want to connect it. It helps your rankings for those products. It helps the sales of those products, and all the reporting is in one spot, right? It all comes through, and you're pushing to Google Bing. Like it's really, you really have to check it out if you don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of Google has been pushing a lot of the inventory integration into the Google profile. So this is very important. If you do this kind of thing, you need to check it out. Yeah, and I think River did mention some of these features before, but I don't know.
Yeah, just really quick, just to throw some of the new things out. The location landing pages where we can actually connect it to the main parent site, have an individual location page created for you that connects to the Google profile and our platform, where when you update something, it updates the location page. That's huge. That's big. I'm excited for that. Also going after reputation. So originally we only allow to manage reviews through Google. We're going to have a 100% full reputation management solution. So I think it's 65 plus platforms that we're now going to bring into the dashboard, where you can monitor all your reviews, create review generation links, and have links to take you directly to that specific location, to that platform, for you to reply directly. So that's going to be big. And then in addition to that, social. So you guys already have the content. You're pushing to your Google profile. You're probably already doing social media or scheduling through another platform. We're going to be including that in our packages. So you're going to be able to push to Facebook, Apple, Twitter, LinkedIn, Yelp, Pinterest, Instagram. If I didn't already say that, I guess Meta, not Facebook, but all the main social channels. So you're gonna be able to schedule it out and have it all in one platform. So
Talk to River.
reduce the tech stack,
Yep.
save money.
Talk to River. He'll give you all the details. I know we're at time, so I don't mean to cut you off. I know people are gonna
No, you're
want to
good.
jump off
Yeah.
here. So that was our question. We got to the questions along the way, so that was perfect.
Good.
We do have a Facebook group if you want to add that. I don't know, Kelly, if you have time to put it into the chat there.
Yeah, let me grab that really quick. But yeah, join our Facebook group. We also put our, promo for G2. So we have been trying to increase our reviews there. So if you guys enjoyed it or want to provide any feedback, please feel free to head over to our G2, and we will be sending out the recording to this as well, which I'll provide the G2 link in there and a little gift card incentive. So if you guys want to participate, we would greatly appreciate it. Let me. All right,
Get in contact with me if you have questions about your individual things. If you don't want to post it on Facebook, feel free to reach out. If you need an audit done, that would be, sometimes you need a second set of eyeballs. You have an agency, but you're not sure, are they doing the right thing? Are they missing pieces? Give me a shout, and we can talk so I can take a look.
Yep. And I just dropped that Facebook group link in the chat for everyone to see. So I know many of you guys are dropping off. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure to request and join the Facebook group, and we will accept. And you're more than welcome to ask questions, and we will try our best to get to you, and other people chime in as well. So it's a great network to be a part of.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
great day.